So for part two of design of products and services, we're just going to go into that just now. So just bear with me while I share my screen. And here we go. Okay. So we've talked about the design of product services and products. So basically we've covered the concept, the package, and the process of designing how we want and how that fits into our 4V framework, our volume, variety, visibility, and variation in demand, and how it also fits into our competitive factors, our organizational factors. So where does it sit within those? The speed, quality, dependability, flexibility, and cost. Okay, so our performance objectives, if you like, what are we competing against other organizations on? So where does our product or our service sit there? And is it going to be high quality or just everyday quality? Is it going to be delivered very quickly, speed? Or if we're manufacturing, are we going to be based on speed? The more that we can get through, the more profit we have. Do we need to be dependable? If we think the diabetes testing factory, okay, every product there has to be dependable, has to be high quality, has to be dependable. If it's not accurate and not correct, somebody's life could be at risk for that. Flexibility is how flexible the service or product is to change. Are we able to adapt it if the market changes? Okay, so for instance, cars at the moment, it's the government's wish, I think, that petrol and diesel cars are no longer produced. Is it 2025, something along that lines? So if you think about filling stations, petrol stations, they're going to have to change. So there will be no longer a requirement for as many petrol stations or filling stations selling diesel, because there will be less cars on the road that require that. What they need to do, I think BP are one of the big companies that are currently in talks with the government and such like about converting some of their petrol stations to become fast charging electrical outlets, so that you can drive up with your car, get the car charged and go away again. And there's one type of electric car that has developed a very fast charging battery that should only take about 5 minutes to charge. So these are the kind of things we mean by flexibility. So it's not just instant change as in dealing with the pandemic, shops shutting, converting to online. This is flexibility about changing our service model, seeing into the future, if you like, and changing what the goods and the services that we are producing right now. Is it still going to meet the market demands and requirements in 2 years' time, in 3 years' time, in 5 years' time, or do we need to start adapting now? It's going to take a long time for BP to convert all these petrol stations, and there will still be some petrol and diesel cars on the roads as well, because it's only new cars designed or produced from 2025 that won't be allowed to be petrol or diesel. Okay, so there we go. That's what we mean by flexibility as well. Cost. Okay, so where were we? Where did we get our ideas from? As we said, watching and listening to customers, from focus groups of customers, from staff who work with customers or do the job every day. They often know where the unnecessary steps are and where customers complain about the most is. So we need to listen to them. From other companies as well, from competitors, similar companies, or other organizations, whether the same kind of companies or different. So as I said before, online booking, you can do it for airlines, so why not book your child into nursery online as well at the set time, you know, from 11 o'clock to, or 9 o'clock to 1 o'clock every day, that type of thing. Large organizations have research and development departments. Okay, large organizations do. If you think about the car, Toyota, Tesla, Google, Apple, all these, Samsung, they've all got research and development departments who invest a lot of money in idea generation, coming up with new ideas. And this is where we're going on to part two of today's lesson now. Can come up with lots and lots of good ideas, but how feasible is it? How much is it going to cost in terms of time, money, and staff? I have a great idea that I could retire. I could be replaced with a holograph, okay, and then I could sit with my feet up watching daytime telly or going on holiday, and my holograph would be there pre-programmed to teach all you guys. but how feasible is it? How much is it going to cost in terms of time, money, staff investment? It's not going to be feasible. The amount of money that me personally is going to invest in that, I'll be retired by the time that it takes off. Okay, so not much point in me doing that. It's not very feasible. This is what companies have to ascertain. So I said before, Google spend 1/5 of staff time, 20% of the working week. Google staff come up with ideas. They just have a general chit chat, come up with ideas for different things. Hundreds of thousands of ideas every year. Some of them get siphoned out at the idea stage. Some of them might get some money and staff time allocated to them to start developing them, and then they'll say this doesn't work. Let's bin that now, and others will maybe work their way all the way through. Okay, so if you remember, Google Glasses was one of the ones that worked its way all the way through. So Google Glasses, we're all living in a sci-fi world. You could use the glasses, and it came up like a little computer screen in front of your eyes and things like that. Okay, smart speakers, Siri, Alexa, all these were all ideas that were generated at one stage or another, and they made it through the siphon, the selection pool, if you like. They were going to be feasible to produce, the time and money, staff involvement in producing them, got them to reality, and now we all have smart speakers, or not all of us, but they're very commonplace, and they will be even more commonplace in future years as well. Smart homes, smart TVs. What we need to think about when somebody comes up with a new idea, is it going to add value for our customers, or equally, is it going to reduce our costs in making or providing the service or good that we're manufacturing, product that we're manufacturing? So is it either going to reduce our costs in delivering that, or is it going to add value for our customers? Because if it's not, then why would we bother? Unless it's something brand new to the market that nobody's thought of before, that all the customers will want, but just don't know it because it doesn't exist yet. Okay, so is it going to add value for our customers, or is it going to reduce our costs? If it's not, then we shouldn't be doing it. We shouldn't. It's not a good idea. The other thing that we have to think about when we come up with ideas is the risk. What could go wrong, and how vulnerable will we be? Okay, so if you think of automatic electric cars, not electric cars, automatic cars, driverless cars, okay, when they were first being produced, what could go wrong? Well, they might be able to be hacked, okay, somebody might be able to take over them, cause accidents, the technology might fail, they might still cause accidents. Just general engineering type failing, maybe people would be locked in the car, not be able to get out. How vulnerable would the company be? How much would the company have to pay out, really, in terms of compensation? How vulnerable would they be in terms of financial compensation, but also company reputation? And would customers still buy from them if they knew that things were going wrong? So this is what has to all be ascertained, okay? When new ideas about new products, new services come to light in a company, have to think, how feasible is it? Is it going to cost too much to develop, or is it going to pay for itself in the long term? Is it going to add value for our customers or reduce our costs? And what could go wrong? How vulnerable will we be? Is it worth taking the risk? Okay. We then have to think, once we do come through that entire process and say, yes, we are going ahead with our brand new idea, how can we minimize time to market? Okay, so if you think about the time spent in developing a product, an electric car, from the very, very first idea to the actual time to market was probably quite a few years. How can you reduce that time? Because as you know from your marketing module, the time spent in development is time that's not bringing in money. Okay, it's only when you start selling to the market that you start bringing in some income. Okay, and the example that I've given here, a whiskey distillery. Okay, malt whiskey, one of Scotland's biggest products, which is exported throughout the world, one of our best-selling products, if you like. They have a long time before market. If an existing distillery wants to distill a brand new whiskey, okay, a brand new malt whiskey, Malt whiskies are traditionally at least 10 years old, some of them 12, some of them 15, some of them 16, some of them 20, some of them 25 years old. Okay, that is a long time in the manufacturing process and before that specific product comes to market. Okay, so that is a lot of investment initially in the storage space, the making of it, and then keeping it stored for 10 years, for 12 years, for 16 years, for 20 years before they can get that product out and into the supermarket shelves. A 10-year-old malt whiskey really does mature for 10 years in whiskey barrels. Okay, so it's not, the 10 years is the time that it's going to take to go to market. But then contrasting, if you think about if somebody decides to become a window cleaner, okay, or offer a window cleaner business, very, very little time to market. What do they have to buy? They have to go out and maybe buy a bucket, a squeegee sponge, a ladder, something like that. And if they already have a car or a van, that's it. Very, very little time. Just market themselves, go in normal times, pre-pandemic, post-pandemic, knock at doors, find out if somebody wants their windows cleaned, make sure they've got appropriate insurance and things like that, and that's it. Very little time to market. So this is the time before market, okay? So if we minimize the time to market, we tend to recoup our money and our investment much more. But think about this as well, the whiskey, malt whiskey, a long, long, long time to market, but it's a very, very high quality product. Okay, low variety of each different type of whiskey. So if there is a Serendipity, Tomatin, a 10-year-old malt whiskey, it should, each bottle of that type of whiskey should be very standard. Okay, very little variety in that. Okay, quite a high volume, thousands of litres produced at once, and that's why, because it takes 10 years to distill then or to mature in the barrels, it's a long time to market. Okay, and once we get to market, that's when we start generating income, and you'll all know about the various product life cycle, if you like. We've covered that in marketing as well. So when we're also thinking about design of products or services, if we're producing a brand new, I don't know, computer program or something like that, or actually at the moment with the rollout of the vaccine, the pandemic vaccine, okay, what they're doing, just listening to First Minister of Scotland and the UK government as well, what they're doing is simultaneously they started with the most vulnerable people in care homes aged over 80, people in care homes and carers in care homes, okay? So they started with them. As they worked their way through these, then they also started doing the 70 to 80-year-olds. And now what they're doing is sending out letters or starting to think about vaccinating the over 70-year-olds. And as they get through the over 70-year-olds, then they're also going to start at the same time doing the 65-year-olds, okay? If they could get a 65-year-old in where a 70-year-old is not able to come in that day, then it would be worth phoning and getting that 65-year-old in. And that is a simultaneous stage of design, if you like. They don't have to wait until one lot are done before the next lot start, okay? They don't have to wait. The Scottish Government seem to concentrate on the care home residents first, and they put all their resources into getting people in care homes vaccinated first, and that was, according to World Health Organization, the correct thing to do because these are the most vulnerable people. But as they got towards the end of that, then they simultaneously started doing the next cohort of people, okay? So if you think that's sequential and simultaneous. Sequential means you would do all of one step first, then move on to step 2, then move on to step 3. Simultaneously means that you can start step 1, step 2 may be being done at exactly the same time or just slightly later. Okay, so difference. And if I can go here, let's see if this works. Take you to a picture. There we go. A Gantt chart. Okay, so a Gantt chart, courtesy of Wikipedia. So thank you, Wikipedia. So we can see here, okay, step 1 in our project. Okay, step 1, week 1, step 2, element 2. Okay, so we can see here that element 2 is starting partway through element 1. Okay, so element 1 does not need to be fully complete before step 2 takes place. We can start step 2 at the same time. And we have to think about this in the design of our ideas and products as well. Okay, so it depends what we're doing or what our product or what our service design is. If we can do simultaneous at the same time design, then that reduces our time to market. If we have to wait for all of stage 1 to complete before we go on and then start stage 2 down here, then that increases our time to market, and that costs us more money. Okay. So also, if you think about it, if we are designing something, if we're designing our automated car, the more time and effort we invest at early stages, testing it, making sure it works, making sure that the software can't be hacked, making sure that there's safety features involved, that will save us lots and lots of time and money later. Okay, so we invest lots of time and effort at the early stages, and that means that we reduce time and money later. Same when you guys go into a new job, okay? When you go into a new job doing something, if you were going in to be an airline pilot or something like that, okay? The company should spend lots and lots of time and effort training you in the early stages so that you are a very high quality airline pilot who knows everything, knows all the safety systems, knows what to do, can fly several different types of planes, okay? They're going to spend a lot of time and effort in training you, getting you up. You won't be allowed to fly on your own. You'll need somebody with you, all these different types of things. Okay, lots of time and effort at the early stages. That time and effort is then repaid because later on you'll be able to fly with just your co-captain or somebody else, and you will be able to cope with flying in fog, flying in snowstorms, all these different types of things, flying into different airports. Okay, so lots of time and effort invested at the early stages saves time and money later. The same in product and service design. Invest your time and effort testing it at the first start. Even in our cake factory, if we come up with a brand new recipe for rhubarb and custard cake, okay, what we would do is spend time refining the recipe, getting the quantities correct, seeing how much of a batch we can produce in the early stages while maintaining the same quality and dependability of the cake so that each cake tastes the same. We would spend that money at the early stage, get feedback from focus group customers as to whether we need to tweak it. Should there be more rhubarb? Should there be more custard? Is it too sweet? Is it too sour? If we invest that time and money at the early stage and get the customer feedback, then it will save us time and money later from actually launching a product that the market doesn't want. Okay, so this is, you invest time and effort at early stages, find out if the customers actually like that product design idea, service design idea. So just to recap today, important things in operations management, we need to think about volume and variety. Are we going to be high volume and low variety so that individuals can specialize and we can get really fast at what we're doing, in which case we are probably competing on speed and dependability. Everybody comes to us, they know our product is the same. Think about McDonald's, you know what you get when you go to a McDonald's restaurant, you know it's speedy, you know the quality of it. It doesn't need to be high quality as in Michelin star, but you know the quality of the product you're getting, it's dependable. You're going there on cost because it's high volume, low variety. Equally, if we think about our Michelin star restaurant, it is low volume, high variety. Okay, they are competing on quality. They want their restaurant to be better than your bog standard restaurant that you go down the high street and go into. Speed is not of as much importance when you are talking about low volume, high variety. The customer will want to go in and spend some time there. Okay, the element of speed comes into how fast the chef can get dishes out to you. And no, we're not talking about within 5 minutes, because if food is cooked to order, you go into a restaurant like this expecting to have some time to wait, chat to your friends, chat to your partner, have a nice glass of wine. Okay, and it's all part of the experience. Remember, it's part of the concept and the package. Okay, concept, process, package, it's part of all of that. It's the experience that we're going into a Michelin star restaurant for. How flexible are they? Well, they should be able to go dairy-free for you or gluten-free if that's what you want. So they should be flexible enough to adapt to your demands. dependability, they will be good. They have Michelin stars, okay? And cost is not a competitive factor for a Michelin star restaurant, because you will pay for it. So they are not competing on cost. They are competing on quality, okay? Quality, dependability, maybe a bit of flexibility as well. McDonald's, on the other hand, are competing mostly on cost and speed, also dependability, and quality. Again, not high quality, but the quality that you know that you're going to get. Okay, so that's a very quick recap today of how performance objectives link into volume, variety, variation in demand and visibility of the services, and how we come up with new ideas for our company. Okay, so what do we design? The concept, the idea, how the customer uses it, the package, what are all the component parts of the package? What does our salon look like, or our restaurant look like? What type of chairs, napkins do we have? And the actual process, is it part of an experience, a wider experience that the customer wants, or is it just in, fed, back out again? What does the customer want? And that we need to provide the service or the product, we need to design it in a way which fits with what our customers want. So let me stop sharing my screen and come back. And that's a quick run through for you of design of products and services. Okay, thank you.